Hi, I am Charlotte from Delain, and you are watching Metal Blast.
The song that angels sing, the spell that calls, the gathering, the magic that might bring eternal life, the gathering.
So, how is the experience to be playing here today in Dokk'em 2013?
It's good to play at Dokk'em. We were a little bit, unfortunate with the weather, but playing a festival in Dutch summer, we know what to expect, so it's rain.
Are you doing a series of festivals right now in the summer, or this is the only one?
Yeah, we done one yesterday, Lorelei in Germany, and we just played at Fortalrock in Holland as well. It's a really cool big new festival, and we're doing some festivals here and there in Sweden one, and before we go on tour with Camelot in September in the USA.
Oh, that's terrific. One of the questions I wanted to ask you about Delain is that, well, the Netherlands is well known for several female-fronted gothic metal bands such as Within Temptation, Stream of Passion, Epica. What do you think sets Delain apart from them?
I think it's partly our history. I think it's partly, the way we write our song kind of in this more pop-structured manner. And just, we've got a lot of things which are very typical for Delain, and the contrast between the verses and the choruses. And, for me, the thing that sets it apart is also, emotionally the things we put into the lyrics. It's hard for ourselves to answer this question because, of course, we put a lot of ourselves into it, and that's what makes it unique.
When it comes to the style of Delain, I would say that in the beginning you were more gothic and symphonic metal, and it has little by little changed into, as you said, the pop elements or the hard rock elements. Was there a conscious desire to perhaps attract a wider audience, or was it simply the way in which the music naturally evolved?
No, I guess, within the writing process itself, in the very beginning, where you just try to be creative and grasp the ideas which are coming to you, there was never like a deciding moment where you thought, oh no, we're now going into this direction or whatever, because songs work best if it's something that comes, from within and from the heart. So in that case, we always just let our own creativity and feelings about this guide us in whatever way. So it basically just naturally evolved, and then of course when you're in the studio you start picking sounds and you pick something that fits to it. So maybe that kind of made the change look bigger than it was in the beginning of the writing phase. But yeah, and I already notice now that we're kind of, in a lot of songs, we're already going back to the more orchestral and stuff. So we just go back and forth, and we don't want to be limited by, okay, now we are growing this style, so we've got to stick to that or whatever. So we're just trying to be as free as possible and let, whatever inspiration come guide us through the writing process.
You mentioned that you're working on a new album. Recently you released Interlude, which was this compilation of some new tracks and cover songs. I think it was one of the Cranberries, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, one of the Cranberries.
And some live versions as well. Is it a introduction of what the new album is going to be, or was it simply just
No, because it's more actually reflecting on the past couple of years than looking forward to the next. And this is also why I'm really happy that we released these songs now. You see, we had a lot of songs kind of piling up over the most recent years of our career. We had the cover songs, we had the live songs, and we had the new tracks, which were actually written during the We Are the Others writing sessions. So all in all, at one point we felt that we had so much material that it kind of deserved its own record. And of course we could have also made the choice to say, okay, we will keep these songs and put them on a new record. But when we have a new record, I always like to start with, a clean sheet and, just starting from scratch. So it was really good to have this record where we could put all that material that we didn't put on the album before, but grown really accustomed to, that we could give that a place.
You said that it reflects the years past. So in the sense of style of Delain, or also in the sense of, or simply in the sense of that chronologically it happened?
Chronologically. And I think maybe style-wise we're kind of, it's too early to say really. I would want to reflect on the kind of material that we're writing now, but we're so much still in the phase of, collecting every idea that comes to us that, it's hard. Well,
you mentioned that you're recording this new album, so is there anything you can tell about it?
Well, we started the writing phase because we just basically want to come with a new album pretty fast. I mean, we're going on tour with In Temptation in January. We're going now in September. We're going through the USA with Camelot, and we basically got so much cool stuff coming up that we want to be as productive and creative as possible in this positive flow of events happening. So yeah, that's why we basically just want a new album pretty soon, and we are writing a lot. Actually, this whole next week we're going back into the studio and we're going to write again and collect new songs. So all I can say right now is that we're really free to let whatever happen, and whether it's big instrumental parts or we're just open for everything, and that's cool.
You close the set now with "We Are the Others," which is the homonymous track from your last studio album. You mentioned that it really, when you heard about the Sophie Lancaster murder and her boyfriend's murder in the UK, it really affected you, it shocked you in a very powerful way. Do you think that, I mean, when, for instance, you made a video showing a lot of your fans, a lot of kids, with showing what made them unique or special, etc. Do you usually encounter kids or your fans that have mentioned that they go through things like that?
Before, not so much, but actually after the song was released, when people know that you're kind of open to these kind of stories, a lot of fans actually approached us and mentioned, this and that happened to me. And you also see that it speaks to people from different walks of life. Like a few days ago was National Autism Day, and some people put a post about that on our website because they felt that the song also referred to them, being other in a way. But it actually can refer to so many different things and feelings that, after the song was released, we got massive response.
But in the case of the Netherlands, because I know that in the UK it has been happening more and more to the point that now it's considered a hate crime to target people with alternative.
Yes, that's actually what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation achieved.
Yeah, they managed to do that.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, this is also a phenomenon. Because I have encountered people from, for instance, industrial background.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that a lot of times they get insulted or spat on the street. So I don't know how common
I
it
always
is.
used to say that it didn't happen as much in Holland, and I never encountered it as such. But now you mention it, just I think 2 weeks ago now, there was a girl who was beaten unconscious because she was, a dirty goth. So I don't know what this says about any development, and I don't want to say I don't know if it's an isolated incident or whether it happens more often. I don't dare to say anything about that, but apparently it is reason for people everywhere to act in this way.
I was quite surprised when I met people in festivals and they tell me that someone calls them whore as I walk down the street. One of them, because she was I think wearing a Victorian dress, which is not even that elaborate.
Victorian dress is not exactly.
Which is not even that. They're not known for how revealing they are, and yet they get spat on or beaten up. It's really, it's really mind-boggling to think that someone will actually beat the crap out of someone simply because they don't look the way they're dressed. It's just incredible that thing can happen.
Yeah, it is very much relatable to all kinds of violence towards others, I think it's partly fear.
Mm-hmm. In May you returned from your tour in South America. I think it's the second time you toured Latin America, right?
Yes.
How do you experience the fans in Latin America as opposed to what you encountered here?
They're crazy, and it's really, really crazy in a good way. It's very interesting because once you go there, all of a sudden, for us, it's so great to travel there because, it's very far away from home. Wouldn't maybe naturally go there, never been there before, first time we were there. And the people also respond to you that way because, of course, you're quite exotic coming all the way from Holland. And it's heartwarming, really. We had people in Argentina crying on the front row, in a positive way.
No, I hate it, but...
Yeah, no. And they're really crazy. I think Brazil must be some of our favorite places to play. And actually, we also see that most of our responses on online media, that Brazil is one of the top 3 countries where people are responding from. So we know that we have a really big fan base. And I hope that we can go to Chile as well very soon. It will be really great. Because we know we've got some support there as well. So.
I think it mostly has to do in the case of South America with when it's kind of market forces playing, namely that there is certain scarcity of this type of bands. You don't get to go as often. If you live in the Netherlands, you live in Germany, you do get to see these tours rather often.
Yes.
In the case of Latin America, you never know when it's going to happen again.
It's exactly that, because when we go to Berlin, for example, it's very difficult because they have bands playing every night and they have a variety of bands to choose from, every night. But when you go to South America, people are so grateful for you being there. And it's difficult business-wise because a lot of things are much more complicated. But when you ask, how are the fans specifically, are really great. So.
How do you feel about the fact, because I talk about this with other bands like Stream of Passion and Arch Enemy, for instance, of being labeled female-fronted metal band, because some people say, and to a certain extent I agree, that it puts an emphasis on the fact that you're a woman as opposed to your music, because Arch Enemy, Stream of Passion, Delain, and Nightwish, they all belong to different genres of metal.
Yes.
And yet, female-fronted metal band.
It's the age-old question. I personally don't really like the label. I don't mind it because I know that a lot of people, even though it's not the same genre, they just love this loud music with female vocals. So for them, it is kind of a label which tells them, okay, I'm probably going to like that. And of course, people like to do this. People like to label. It serves a purpose in a way because it makes it clear right away what you're about. But I do feel really strongly that a band is not defined by just the person who is doing the singing, let alone by the gender of the person who's doing the singing.
Well, so Angela Gosso of Arch Enemy always says, we're not a female fronted band, we're a death metal band.
Exactly.
Period. I mean, it does seem, especially kind of weird when I saw that there were a couple of festivals. So there was one in the UK, I cannot remember the name. There is in Belgium,
the Metal Female Fronted Fest,
that sounds weird. I mean, you wouldn't have a festival made exclusive for...
no, but I mean, but
I don't mean it in a way that, you're discriminating men. It's on the contrary, that it's highlighting the fact that you're a woman as if
it's kind of positive discrimination in a way.
I wouldn't know. I mean, I think that it sort of cheapens the work that I mean, in my opinion, of course, that it sort of cheapens the band in a way, because it says, we're categorizing it because she's a woman as opposed to because it's a great band.
Yeah, they don't say, okay, we make this type of music, this kind of arrangement. No, of course, and I agree with you. It's just that I don't feel necessarily offended by the term, but I mean, you do have a point. It's very strange to define a band by the gender of one person in the band, because basically it doesn't have to say anything about how the music sounds. And I think Arch Enemy is the best example of that, because first time I listened to it, I wasn't even sure whether I was listening to a man or a woman. So I totally agree with you that it kind of,
Well, the case of Arch Enemy is actually also interesting, because when they hired Angela, they released samples of the new singer's voice. They didn't say who she was. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people were like, hey, that's really cool. And then they said she was a woman, because they were always afraid that people were going to say, well, it's good, but for a woman.
Yes.
So that was a very good move on their part, and that actually shows that,
But it is kind of bad, that they don't say that it's a woman, because they feel that people will not like it if they know that it's a woman. I mean, it's kind of bad that they have to do that, not mentioning the fact that she's a woman.
I would say that it responds to the fact that they didn't want people to judge the singer on the fact that she was, I suppose, I mean, there are apparently examples. Arcona, which is this folk metal band from Russia, also she has a lot of growling vocals.
Yeah. So. But even then, they don't want her to judge on the fact that she's a woman. What if it was, what if it was a black guy and they didn't mention that it was a black guy? Everybody would be so offended. But when it's... I mean, so.
It depends. If they simply don't say, we're not going to show who the singer is.
Because we're afraid that they will not like it.
Yeah, but that would be... I really don't think that will happen.
No, they will not do that because it's bad. And I think if you do that same thing to a woman, they're not going to say it's just as bad. It's sexism.
No, but I think that the reason why it is because they didn't want there to be...
No, I understand why they didn't, and I don't say that they're sexist because they didn't show it. I say they respond to a sexist world.
That is, I understand.
Yes.
You're sort of giving credit to the sexism in the...
Yes, exactly. Yeah.